Chapter 8. Muff Potter's Trial. At school, Tom acted like a hero. He bragged to the boys. He showed off to the girls. He pretended not to see Becky even though he was dying to talk to her. Tom's actions hurt Becky's feelings. Instead of being glad Tom was alive, she wished he were dead. She pretended to be interested in another boy. After lunch, Tom found Becky alone in the classroom. She was standing at Mr. Dobbins's desk. She had found the key to the top drawer. She was reading the teacher's secret book. Tom crept up quietly behind Becky. His shadow fell across the page. Becky slammed the book shut, tearing one of the pages. She quickly locked the book in the drawer and burst into tears. "Tom Sawyer, you are just as mean as you can be," cried Becky. "How dare you sneak up on me? You made me rip the page. Now you're going to tell on me, and Mr. Dobbins will punish me. Oh, what'll I do? I've never been punished in school before." Tom couldn't believe his ears. Never punished? Not once? Mr. Dobbins punished Tom at least 3 or 4 times a week. Becky stamped her foot. "You're mean, mean, mean," she cried, and ran out of the room. Tom didn't want to tell on Becky. If Mr. Dobbins asked who had ripped the page, Tom wouldn't tattle. Becky would never be punished if he could help it. That afternoon, Mr. Dobbins gave his students work to do. He unlocked the drawer and took out his secret book. Tom and Becky watched him carefully. When Mr. Dobbins came to the torn page, he instantly stood up. "Who tore this book?" he demanded. The classroom was silent. "Benjamin Rogers, did you tear this book?" Mr. Dobbins asked. Ben shook his head no. "Joseph Harper, did you?" "No." Tom was getting nervous. He knew Becky wouldn't be able to take it. She would confess. "Amy Lawrence?" "No." "Rebecca Thatcher?" Tom looked at Becky. Her face was white with fear. "Did you tear this book?" Tom jumped to his feet. "I did it," he shouted. Tom walked to the front of the room. On the way, his eyes met Becky's. She looked surprised and grateful. As he passed her desk, she whispered, "Tom, you are so noble." That night, Tom fell asleep dreaming about Becky. Finally, school was over for the year. It was also time for Muff Potter's trial. The whole town was talking about it. When anyone said a word about the murder, chills ran down Tom's spine. One day, he took Huck aside. "Huck, have you ever told anyone what we saw?" "Course not," replied Huck. "Why?" "I was just afraid you had." "Why, Tom Sawyer, we wouldn't be alive 2 days if that got out. You know that." Tom relaxed. After a pause, he said, "I guess we're safe as long as we keep mum." Huck agreed. The boys swore again that they would never tell who really killed Doc Robinson. "I guess Muff Potter's a goner," said Tom. "Don't you feel sorry for him sometimes?" "Most always," replied Huck. "He's a drunk and a loafer, but he's not a murderer. He gives me a half a fish when he's only got one. He stood by me when I was out of luck. He's fixed my kites plenty of times," offered Tom. "I wish we could get him out of trouble." On the day of the trial, no one stood up for Muff Potter. Even his own lawyer couldn't say a good word for him. It looked as if Muff Potter was going to be hanged. Tom knew he had to do something to help Potter. After the lunch break, Potter's lawyer announced to the court, "Thomas Sawyer is taking the stand." Tom told the court where he was the night of the murder. "I was hiding behind a tree near Mr. Williams's grave," he began. Injun Joe stirred nervously in his seat. "What did you take to Mr. Williams's grave?" asked the lawyer. Only a dead cat," stuttered Tom. Laughter rippled through the courtroom. Tom went on. The doctor hit Muff Potter over the head with a rock. Potter fell. That's when Injun Joe jumped on the doctor with a knife and... Crash! Injun Joe had jumped through the courtroom window. He was gone.